You're watching the Talkmania, and I'm your host CJ. Welcome back to another album review, which will be a review of Megadeth The Sick, The Dying, and The Dead, their brand new album, number 16. Just absolutely great. I think this album is pretty wonderful. It's a pretty good album. Yeah. Without further ado, let's get into it. This album is better than expected from Megadeth after the 8-year wait since Dystopia. I was kind of questioning when the newest Megadeth album was coming out. Really liked Dystopia when it came out. It really did. It was a way big step up from Super Collider and 13 that came out. Yeah, definitely. And this album is better than Super Collider and 13, definitely. Those albums were really big letdowns for me when I was just getting into Megadeth. Like, the first album that I ever picked up was Super Collider, and I really didn't like it. So it was yeah. This album is mostly positive with a few songs I'm not a huge fan of, which are Sacrifice and Mission to Mars. Really not a huge fan of those two. But the rest of the album is really good. Honestly, the rest of the album is very enjoyable. Even the two that I don't really care for too much. I really enjoyed the guitar tone is really, really fucking intense on this album. I kind of find the Big Four thrash metal is more laid back, but Megadeth did not lay back on this album, honestly. Same with Dystopia. Dystopia really wasn't laid back. Super Collider was, and 13 kind of was to a point, but yeah, they kind of started to ramp that intensity up again with their albums when they come out. It's all the way through this album. It's not, yeah, it's basically all the way through this album that guitar tone is going. I will keep mentioning Super Collider and 13 because they're relevant to this album because they're before and I can kind of compare them to it. So they're very, very much relevant. I'm already going to get comments that say it's not, but it is kind of relevant. The guitar tone has a real bite to it and leading to be a great guitar thrash tone. It makes some of these songs, honestly. It makes some of these songs great. Like, if that guitar tone wasn't there and it was a different tone, this album wouldn't be as good, honestly. The guitar tone and the solos that are really technical are what make this album good. Like, honestly. It's Megadeth giving you what Megadeth has done for ever now. Best songs. Here we go. The best songs. I narrowed it down to 5. I narrowed it down to 5 to not put so much stress on myself after taking the long hiatus that I did. From the last ranking that I did. Title track. The title track is on here. The first song. The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead. The first song on the album. The intro. Holy shit. This intro. Perfect for the song. Perfect for the start of the album. The song starts the album heavy and thrashy with the classic Megadeth sound. Basically no bullshit. It's not going to start out with some ballad right off the bat. It's going to start with a little acoustic part and then go full into thrash metal. And yeah, it's one of the better Megadeth songs. I really can't explain it because the Megadeth sound is kind of unique to them. That's basically why they're so big. Just because they have a really unique sound. They're not like every other thrash band out there. They have some technicality. They have some Dave Mustaine's vocals are kind of unique for thrash metal. So yeah, Life in Hell. One of my favorites on this album, honestly. The lyrics are absolutely deep, and the riffs hit very, very, very hard. Soldier On, or Night Stalkers, is a melodic thrasher. Very melodic song here. The riffs are very melodic. Intense riffage, classic Megadeth lyrics. About the helicopters and everything, and the war and all that stuff they do constantly. Soldier Soldier On, one of the singles that were released before the album. Some of the best riffs and the great Megadeth attitude to this. Megadeth always has a fucking attitude to their sound, like their songs. It wasn't the attitude wasn't prevalent in Super Collider, honestly, and they brought it back for Dystopia and they brought it back for this album. So I'm pretty happy with this album as a listener to it. We'll be back. This is probably one of the best thrash songs this year. It's just absolutely balls to the walls intense. Like, the song is the best one on this album. It's the last song on the album. It was the first single that they released. Basically, this was the song that basically showed you what the album was going to be like. And it turned out to be the best song, in my opinion. My opinion is the best song. It's what I'm going to emphasize more is this is all my opinion, and you can have a completely different opinion. That's what reviewing is about on YouTube. So, here's where I explain if this album is better than their previous album, Dystopia. Really, I cannot decide. I cannot decide. Probably not. Dystopia is probably a little bit better than this album. But I'm going to bring up Super Collider, and I'm going to bring up 13 again. This album is 10 times better than Super Collider. And 10 times better than 13. Is it better than Endgame? I think it's not as good as Endgame. That's basically what it's basically the end of the video where I kind of compare it to the other albums if I've listened to it, and I've listened to all Megadeth's albums, so I can. So, that's where I end the video. Hope everybody liked it. I'm kind of trying to get back into the swing of things. And yeah, stay metal, and I will see you guys in the next video whenever I get it up, and I will see you guys.